Come on, give us the real on that. You said it started for beer money in college.
Yeah, it's the truth. It was beer money and paying off that student debt.
What's the biggest thing that you had to overcome?
What keeps you up at night? You know, what are your biggest fears?
I think that the biggest fear is that.
Welcome back to the Intrepidus Podcast with your host, Dan and Anthony. This is episode 6, but the first episode in the brand new studio. Took some time off, so apologize for our audience, but we're back here now. We got a special guest, Tyler Gravatt. Tyler Gravatt is an owner-operator of Gravatt's Garage, polishing and detailing service, as well as a master engineer and a father of 2. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. This new studio is beautiful. I highly recommend you guys submit the form. If you're an entrepreneur and want to get on this podcast, it's a great place to help level up.
Appreciate that, Ty. So tell us a little bit about what you do.
So our business, as you mentioned, Gravatt Garage, detailing, polishing. We do a lot of vehicle protection, detailing, custom metal polishing. We also offer a undercoating and rust prevention service. So business started just on the side hustle, really just trying to save up some cash, pay off some student debt, which turned into the business that it is now with myself, 3 full-time employees, commercial shop. We also travel mobile to all the central New Jersey area.
Come on, give us the real on that. You said it started for beer money in college.
Yeah, it's the truth. It was beer money and paying off that student debt. So it was on weekends. I always kept my personal truck kind of clean. So I was, hey, let me do your truck before we go to the car show, or like, hey, let me do your bike. And then it just took off from there. I never expected at that time in my life to be where we are today.
So during the process of where you were to where you are, what's the biggest thing that you had to overcome?
I still struggle with this. So to say I fully overcame this is a lie. But working on the business versus working in the business, as I mentioned, this was really just me hustling, grinding weekends, and then it grew. So at that time, it was only me doing every detail, bringing on employees, trying to develop my leadership skills and business owner skills to take that leap from not just a business owner versus true entrepreneur. So sole proprietor versus business owner, having employees, things of that nature.
So you're taking your business from one place now, and you say you're going to be introducing other parts of your business now. So you're going into that entrepreneurial step where you're not only taking, hey, this is my one idea. Now you're expanding that idea. So tell everyone, what the next steps of your business are.
Yeah. So within the last year, we actually just moved into our shop, and we're already planning to expand our shop come January 2025. That's going to include a retail store. So just basics like detail spray, all-purpose cleaners, chrome polish. We're also going to carry a lot of big rig accessories. There's not a central location around here for big rigs. So we're going to carry a lot of those small accessories and different things. Try to level up within our same industry.
Right. So let's step back for a second and talk about the transition from working in the business to working on the business. How exactly did you take that step from the, let's call it, sole proprietor stage to the company stage?
It's been hard. I don't know if I have a specific answer for you, but I think one of those things was time and time management. As you guys mentioned, I have 2 kids, married, and trying to do every single detail myself, interact with every single customer myself, was not cutting it. The work-life balance is non-existent. I care so much about the customer relationship, but I had to make a change. I was killing myself on both ends. So that time piece, I think, really attributed to helping us level up and get where we want to go.
What about the people that you need essentially to replace you? How important is that? And, what characteristics do you look for in the person that's going to almost fill your shoes?
Yeah, I have a great team. We filtered out a lot of eggs that didn't fit our basket, but at this time we have a phenomenal team. My cousin is my shop foreman. He's taken on a load of leadership responsibilities that he essentially never really asked for, that he kind of just took on that responsibility, as well as the other guys in our crew. We do a lot of trial by fire. I'm going to hand you a few things, show you the basics, lay you the foundation, but I also want you to learn, and I want you to struggle to understand why we do things a certain way.
one thing I found in business over the last 25 years is when people get involved in business, they want to pay people the least amount of money and get the most amount of work done. And what I found is that if you find somebody who's really good at what they do and you pay that person for 2 or 3 people, you're going to get 5 to 10 people worth of work because they're going to be so dedicated to what they're doing. They're going to see how much you appreciate them. And just like you just talked about your cousin and what he's doing and the rest of your staff, like that's good to know that you feel that way.
Yeah.
Not only do you feel that way, hopefully they understand how you feel, because if it wasn't for them, Cravat Garage wouldn't be where it is today.
No. And I try to reiterate that, I'm so thankful for you guys. We bust our ass, we work hard, but there's certain things that pay in the fruition at the end.
So what else, what keeps you up at night? What are your biggest fears? Talk about in the very beginning when it was, just you out of college thinking, hey, this might be a career of mine. And then fast forward to today, what kept you up back then and what keeps you up now?
I'll say a scarcity mindset versus an abundance mindset. So I think that living in the fact that this is never going to be enough. I'm never going to, make enough money. I'm never going to have enough customers. I'm never going to do the best detailed job ever. Versus flipping that mindset to the abundance mindset of, hey, we missed that spot. Good. We learned from it. Now we're going to not miss that spot on any other car going forward. So a lot of those, scarcity and financial concerns have kind of come to pass. And now my number one concern is trying to find a work-life balance. I got 2 great kids, wife, and she takes the brunt of a lot of the things at home to allow me to try to grow the business and get to where we hope the business can go one day.
So you talk about abundance and you talk about your family and everything that you're trying to put together in this whole little shell and really expand all these different parts. But when you talk about abundance and the way that you talk about your family, what I see and what I hear from you is that you've taken this road of personal development. You got to be somebody who reads books, listens to audio, does different stuff, because somebody who's not in the personal development world doesn't even understand abundance.
1,000%. Yeah, 1,000%. So I know you're probably familiar with 75 Hard. Yeah. I've done 75 Hard probably 4 or 5 times. I failed 75% of those times. I executed it one time and it was life-changing. It secured a lot of habits that I have now, but can I improve and could I read more? 1,000%. But personal development, started listening to Andy Frisella back in like 2017 before, COVID and the whole 9 yards. And that level up, because I have an engineering background. I don't have a business background. That knowledge was my vehicle to help understand business a little bit better through podcasts and reading and things of that nature.
So what I found is a lot of people who have a business background never even had business doing business.
Right.
Your business background comes from experience. And I think so many people think, oh, look at what this guy's doing. Look at what this girl's doing. I want to own my own business. But you can't just, hey, I'm going to buy this business today and be successful. How you learn and become a person in business is the experience from the beginning to the next step, and you continue to grow. I talked about it on a video I posted yesterday, is that we got to continue to learn, continue to grow, continue to do things every day. And that takes that business experience to where it is. Because you're not like, you don't wake up today and go, you know what? I'm good in business today. This is where I want to stay. I don't want to do anything else. And I'm going to just stay right here, keep my foot, kind of on the gas, and I'm not going to go any faster. You don't have that mindset. At the beginning, you're like, hey, how do I hit the pedal? Yeah. How do I go to the next step? Oh, I got to hit the brake a little bit. Now you're like, hey, man, how do I take it to the next level? And that business mindset comes from that college experience to that next experience to now you having multiple things out of your one shop.
1,000%. I think especially in our industry, the moment you lift your foot off that gas, somebody's full throttle trying to pass you, without a doubt in my mind. It's such a quote unquote lucrative business, detailing, polishing. Anybody can go to Advanced Auto Parts, Walmart, pick up a couple sponges, towels, whatever it may be, and be a weekend warrior, which I once was. 1,000% guilty as charged. But to execute on the quality and format that we do now, it's a whole different realm. So I think it's an interesting dichotomy.
Hey guys, quick interruption to the show. Please don't forget to follow us and like us.
You can find us on Spotify and YouTube. hit that like button. We appreciate the algorithm. Thanks, guys.
Love you guys. One of the things you said, and Dan just mentioned before, the people on Instagram and, trying to be maybe like this person or that person, this woman or that man. One of the things that you mentioned prior to starting recording here was, the question was, hey, what would you do differently? Or what would you suggest to someone trying to start your own business? And your answer was basically don't chase Instagram. Don't chase the likes. Don't chase that dopamine hit. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think the number one thing that has grown our business is customer interactions. And we kind of spoke offline before we started recording about the severity of Google reviews and that genuine response from a customer. So we've grown client by client, word of mouth. We don't pay for any advertising, don't pay for any marketing aside from social media at this point. But you can definitely see if you do hashtag detailing or hashtag foam cannon or polisher, you'll see, people that might have 100,000 followers, but they can't pay their bills. We work with a couple other customers or a couple other businesses in the industry, and we've seen their pain that way. They post about success and post about how they're winning, quote unquote, whatever winning is, but they can't pay their bills.
That's that abundance you're talking about. So when you look at the overall picture of where you are right now, no matter how good you are at what you do, no matter where you are right now from 7 years ago, what's your biggest fear? This question hits hard.
Yeah. I think that the biggest fear is that I only have the business, that becomes my life. And the business has been such a seesaw of work-life balance. Not that I'm not dedicated. I've worked 7 days a week, 24 hours a day through the night, several times, countless times. Even my team has done so as well. I fear that because of my children. I don't want to miss certain moments with my children and my wife as well. And I can feel some things already slipping by. So finding that balance of, hey, if we're carving pumpkins, I'm not going to take a business call because I'm spending 15 minutes with my kids. I can take that call afterwards. Real life experience just happened last weekend. And I stepped away and missed the whole pumpkin carving for 15 minutes. It couldn't wait, but it needs to wait. There's 15 minutes.
I missed a lot of my kids' younger years because I let the business absorb me. I let the business take me in. And, there were so many things I couldn't do. And I realized those are moments that you're never going to get back. And when you start putting customers ahead of your family, that's when it's over. And you have to start to realize that if you're doing something, especially for your family, everything else is secondary. Your family is the reason why you do everything. And I think people tend to forget that. I do this for my family. Oh, let me put my family aside so that I can do this. And it doesn't work out. So my business coach actually, I was with him a couple weeks ago, and he said, the one thing about business is that people don't understand is that when they are the business and they can't take the business, let's say you wanted to go out there and franchise yourself. If you're the business and everything has to go through you, and do this, and you don't create systems, and you can't have the people like you have do what you got to do, you're never going to be able to get out of that life, and you're going to be stuck to be a slave in that same lane for the rest of your life. And I think noticing that with the carving the pumpkins and all that, I miss so many sports games, I miss so many things, and I know that in the beginning of the stages of business, you're going to miss birthday parties, you're going to miss weddings, but that's not for your immediate family. That's not for the people under your roof, your wife, your kids. That's for everybody else. But if you don't take that time and really give it back to the people that you're doing it for, are you really doing it for them?
Yeah, exactly. So, fear wise, I say I do it for my kids. I want to provide for my family, my wife, my kids. But if I don't have a wife and I only see my kids every other weekend, what does that turn into?
Exactly.
Right. That's a challenge. I previously, working 18 hours a day, you as well. Nonstop. You put everything to the side because you have this dream and that's all you want to do is build it, right? You need people in your life that, and correct me if I'm wrong, and if you have experience similar or otherwise, you need people in your life to tell you those 15 minutes to carve the pumpkin, that hour that you're going to a dance recital, that 2-hour movie that you're going to go watch with your kids has more value than whatever 2 hours that you're going to put into your business. And it's very hard. I know people that are probably listening to right now, slaving away, maybe listening to this in the car, ride to their next customer's house. It could be 8 o'clock at night. That is the challenge. And, what exactly for you, what was the turning point where you realized I need to set this time aside to carve these pumpkins? That's it. Matter of fact, there's no other excuse.
Like I said, that was a real life experience this weekend. So I'm still guilty of doing that. And I think after following the conversation with my wife after that situation, it was like a ton of bricks, like just smacked me right in the face. Like, I need to change. I need to figure something out, whether it's develop more SOPs for the guys and lead them better to where I can take a little bit more of a step back and more involved in the quoting process and customer interactions, or, building their personal value in the business. But I think really just following this past weekend, it was like just a smack in the face.
Couple things I can add to that is, number one, if you make the customer that important, like let's say an email pops in and you respond to that customer in 20 seconds or a minute, you set that expectation. So if you're always replying to people right away and then now you don't do it, now there's a problem. So on all my email responders, it says, hey, I'll get back to you in 24 to 48 hours, just because it depends on that time frame when I can do it. And at the end of the day, if people get upset about that, that's fine. You don't have to value my time, then I won't value yours. But outside of that, I think what's most important here, talking about this, is getting your family involved. So though I messed up when my kids were younger, as my kids got older, I started wrapping them into what I was doing. I started telling them why I was doing things. And, in an episode last year, we talked about, how I was rebuilding myself. I was currently getting divorced, and I told my kids, hey, no vacations for 5 years. We're going to sit here, we're going to grind, but we're going to do this together. Here's why I do it. And I always explain to my kids why I do the things I do, and it's for them. And I try to always let them know, here's what I can do, here's what I can't do, here's why I can't do it, here's why I can do it. But at the end of the day, this is why I'm doing it. And the can't becomes an important why, because it's not that I can't do something. It's just that I'm doing things in different areas to provide the best life for them. And I got them engaged. Hey, here's where we're going to go on vacation. Here's what we're going to do. And I wrap them in there. So their mindsets are like, dad's always working, or dad's answering the phone. Or, my kids used to be like, oh, you're always on the phone. Oh, you're always on the phone. Now they know, hey, if dad's on the phone, just give him a minute. He'll be right back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I got them engaged in that whole process.
Do you think there's a time where it's too early to start the process?
Absolutely not. Like, bring your kid to work, show your kid what you do. Even if he's only a couple of years old or she's only a couple of years old, it doesn't matter. Bring your kids with you to see that experience. My kids used to call me, sit in the excavator, do whatever I was doing, come on estimates. And now, it's cool about like Facebook memories, right?
Yeah.
I'll send them these photos of like 10 years ago. They're like, oh my God, And my daughter's like 7 years old. She's carrying a whole bunch of trim on her shoulder with me, but these are things that like they forget about, but then you remind them about. And throughout that process, they'll be able, hey, you know what my dad does? Hey, you know what my dad does? Hey, you know what my dad does? And they'll get excited about what you do. Like, hey, take this rim. If you're polishing a rim, tell your kid, hey, do this. The scratch coat process at the beginning, obviously not the finished process, but get your kids involved. And if you get them involved, it gets them excited because you're letting them do something. First, like, don't touch that. Don't touch that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's great. I mean, my daughter's 2 now, and I call her a shop princess. So like some Saturdays, my wife, goes to teach and does her duties. But, I'll have the kids in the shop for a Saturday for a couple hours, and they're rolling around on a creeper but covered in dirt and grime. But, not much work gets done in those few hours, but it's all good, and just try to show them, this is what we're working to.
Capture photos of that, capture videos of that,
Yeah.
And then show them when they get older. This is what you used to do in my shop.
Yeah.
Because they're going to appreciate it. And then don't show your wife. She might be like, oh my God, you're letting them roll around in the dirt. But we used to all eat dirt, and we're all okay.
Yeah.
That builds character. I mean, the same thing as you bringing your kids around when they're little tots. I remember going and sweeping the floor at 6 years old in my father's shop. I think that builds the structure and creates the work ethic for the future. And that's probably the reason that I am able to work for 18 hours a day, right?
Yeah.
Many people can't do that, but maybe they weren't exposed to that in the very beginning. And I don't think there's an early age either. Even though I don't have kids, full transparency. I don't have I don't have any kids.
I do want to circle back to one thing about the phone and phone calls, messages, whatever it may be. One thing I have found success in that some of the listeners might also find success in is on Instagram, Facebook, you can send an automated reply. So, like you said, 24, 48 hours, I'll get back to you as soon as possible. I have an automated reply on the business page to where, hey, if you DM for a quote, it's an automated response. Feel free, give us all of your year, make, model information. We'll work a quote for you and respond within 24, 48 hours. If it's an immediate need, feel free, give us a call. But that's something that has definitely helped because DMs, you make a post and think people are responding right away, stories, whatever it may be. It's definitely helped that and coordinate that. So then you can sit down, go through 5 DMs all at the same time, whatever it may be. So that may be a piece to help some of the listeners along.
Absolutely. Has that given you more time in your day to spend with your family?
Yeah, especially social media wise. I like to schedule all of our posts now even. So like I'll sit down for an hour, maybe Monday, and then schedule Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, every post, everything but stories, and then also try to, coordinate DMs or whatever it may be, go through quotes, email. So I have like a dedicated block Mondays or Saturdays, whatever it may be, whenever I set that aside for that week.
It seems like what you're doing is optimizing your time right now, which is probably the first thing that you do before you bring on maybe an employee to go through all those transactions or those messages, those DMs. At what point do you think that you bring someone on to respond to all the requests and inquiries about your services?
I think we're coming to that hill now.
Okay.
I think especially with the store opening up, I think we're going to have an opportunity for another employee to manage the store, manage sales, as well as some more of the phone calls and coordination with customers. So I think we're rapidly approaching that hill.
So what's next for you? Where do you see yourself going? Let's say you're 7 years in. Let's take the next 7 years. Where do you see yourself in the next 7 years, and what are your goals to get there? And not only that, while you're talking about your goals and what you want to do, what kind of obstacle do you see maybe in front of you that may deter you or may, create a little bit of a roadblock? Because you're industry specific, things about what you're doing and where to go to the next guy.
Yeah.
And I don't, so help that person who's in the detailing world maybe understand.
Yeah, that's a great question. So first part, we're 7 years in, where should we be in 7 years? So it's 2031, 2032-ish. So I'd like to have the store well established. So I want to be the Central Jersey location for big truck chrome pieces, detail supply, whatever it may be, to be able to provide value to local small time weekend detailers. So I think that would have benefited me a lot as a young entrepreneur, young detailer, and provide that training and, hey, we use this polisher every day. Do you have any questions on it? Versus just going on Amazon and buying a polisher you know nothing about. And really being able to provide value that way and education through the storefront. Business detailing service-wise, we carry the detailing, metal polishing, and undercoating. I really want to educate more on the undercoating process because it is a great service, especially in New Jersey with salt and brine and vehicles rotting and going to shit. So I think that is going to be a huge catalyst for expansion in the future, as well as the detailing and metal polishing. We travel now to a few shows: Atlantic City Truck Meet, Music City Showdown in Nashville. We did 2 shows in PA, so we travel quite a bit for.
You also hosted your own event.
This is true,
right?
Yeah. So with that, I actually have plans for next year to do a larger event ourselves. So we're laying the foundation for that now. It's going to be hopefully benefit a nonprofit. We're working through all those details now, but we normally do our own event as well as travel to all these larger scale truck shows. So I hope that continues. I want to be the pinnacle for those events. Not every event, but if somebody thinks Atlantic City Truck Meet, I want them to think Gravatt Garage is where I want my truck detailed.
And you do marine as well, right?
That's correct.
Can you tell the audience the difference maybe between detailing a boat and detailing a car?
Very different, but very similar at the same time. Okay. A lot of the tools, processes are very similar, but the actual product that we utilize is typically different. Boats and marine vessels, heavy oxidation. You're normally cutting through oxidation, trying to restore that gel coat, that finish more than anything else. Most oftentimes, you can't just wax a vehicle or a marine vehicle. So whether that's a jet ski, a boat, different things of that nature, pontoon boat, they typically require a lot more wax or compound and polish before the wax rather. So tools are the same, but process and product is just a little bit different.
Back to the other question before, what are your obstacles? So you told us like your goals for the next 7 years, but what obstacles do you see in front of you that may deter you, hit a roadblock or whatnot?
I think an obstacle for us will be growing our team. Like I said, we have a great core group now, and how I foresee the vision is to each one of those core members is going to be a lead for their respective entity, whether it's metal polishing or detailing. Each person will have a lead position, and they're going to have a team below them. So that will allow us to, do the shop work as well as mobile work. If we have to go to a marina for a larger boat or do a camper, up the road, whatever it may be, we'll have that flexibility with those two diverse teams to execute.
Great. I want to say that I checked out your website very thoroughly. I also read about 50 reviews, by the way, 5-star reviews, 105 if I'm not mistaken.
Thank you.
Beautiful reviews, beautiful photos that they put on there. The gallery, I will say, I jumped into your website, looked at the gallery, I spent a good 15 minutes browsing through it, and there I have one picture there. I encourage everyone to go look at the gallery and look for this one picture that looks like grass. I said, why does he have a picture of grass at a mobile detailing company? I pressed into it, opened it up, and it was actually the reflection off of some body, a utility body, chromed out, beautiful polish, probably the best polish I've ever seen in my entire life. It just looked like a perfect mirror. It was gorgeous. I've never seen anything like it.
I appreciate it.
I guess my final question is 2 questions. 1, where could everybody find you? And 2, when can you do my car?
So answer your first question. We're on, our website is gravatgarage.com. We're on all social media platforms at Gravat Garage, GRAVATTGARAGE. Instagram, Facebook. We are a little bit on TikTok. We've been pretty inactive recently on TikTok. I've been focused on Reels and Instagram development. But for anybody can request a quote right through the website, gravatgarage.com, and we can happily get your car in probably next week.
Beautiful.
Awesome. Well, guys, we had an awesome episode here with Gravat Garage, and make sure you follow us on Spotify and YouTube. It's going to help our algorithm, and keep watching and sharing our stuff. We appreciate you. Thank you, Tyler.
No, thank you, guys. I really enjoyed this. This was phenomenal. It's totally out of my typical realm. So thank you for having me and picking me for the first one in the new studio.
Awesome.
Thanks for
Continued
being on.
success.